Hello, friends. Today I want to share with you about the Seshadri Swamigal Ashram in Tiruvannamalai. Now, there's a lot of points that I've made about this place because it's really very dear to me. I've spent a lot of time at this place and it's very special. So, who is Seshadri Swamigal, first of all? As you know, Tiruvannamalai is nowadays popular and famous for Ramana Maharshi. And when Ramana Maharshi, as a young boy of, I don't know, around 16 years old, uh, he was meditating in the Arunachala temple at a place called Patala Lingam, which you could check out when you go to Arunachala temple. And he was in deep samadhi. His body was infested by maggots. People used to abuse him, kick him, do all sorts of things because they thought he was crazy, he was mad, he was insane. Of course, he was mad in his love for God. And that's when a man called Seshadri Swamigal, a mystic, someone who had tasted the divine madness himself, he comes and facilitates the movement of Ramana to a safer place, to the cave, and so on, as the story goes. So, Seshadri Swamigal came from Kamakshi, which is in, I think it's in Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu. Ramana Maharshi came from Meenakshi, which is uh, which is in Madurai. And Yogi Ram Surat Kumar came to Tiruvannamalai from Kashi Vishalakshi, Varanasi. The different Shaktis, goddesses, the different forces coming together in this divine land of Tiruvannamalai. Seshadri Swamigal Ashram is a very sweet, it's a very nice place. And the first time I visited the ashram was because they had a canteen. And the canteen or cafe is just part of the premises. You can see the small door on the side, which is open, where you enter the Swami entering in my background. So that's where the cafe is located. And it's very nice food, served with a lot of love. And it's it's a really nice environment to meet spiritual people. And that's why I started going there. And on my second trip and so on, I one day I was just sitting inside the temple where the Shivlingam is there and Seshadri Swamigal Samadhi is there. And I was just sitting there. And usually at 10:30 they would have a havan, a homa, a fire ritual going on. And you could give your sankalpa and also participate in that if you like. And it was just going on, and I was sitting there. And somewhere I touched a space which was very soothing, which was very divine, which was very beyond mind kind of state. And it's very difficult to describe these spiritual states, because it looks like every idiot who's meditating is just sitting there, but it's not the case. Everyone is experiencing a different quality of consciousness, a different Shakti, a different energy. There's a lot of subtle things going on. And I remember that experience particularly. I was just in that state for 15, 20 minutes, but I could understand the power, the Shakti, the consciousness at Seshadri Ashram, how massive, how deep, how amazing it can be. And that's what I've always felt there, henceforth. And one of my memories about Seshadri Swamigal Ashram very recently at Mahashivratri was when a friend lost her gold a chain and bracelet and things like that. And it's such a sweet place, very humble people working. And my friend goes there after 3, 4 hours, and I was with her. And she asks in the office. The office guys are immediately responsive, and the man who's in charge and a couple of people come there and they ask with the staff, and they tell her that they tell the man that yes, we have kept it somewhere safely, and I was surprised to see that my friend received all her precious jewelry. Nothing was missing. And there was such a simplicity in these people to just give this. They are not highly paid workers, of a corporate organization. They could have just said, no, we didn't find it. But the honesty was really touching for me. And this happened on Mahashivratri. So that was really very, uh, that was, going home, going to my heart, that there is a deep authenticity in this place. And I've had many experiences at this place. I've met many wonderful people in the temple, in the cafe. Uh, that would be a long list. One of the beautiful things that I noticed is that in the evening arti, in the evening ceremony that happens, you will see that they will give vibhuti, they will give prasad, and it all feels so divine in that environment. Sometimes I just like to go behind the temple and there's a place to sit, there's a hall where sometimes satsangs are held. That's again a beautiful place to sit in nature, look at the Arunachala mountain. The Arunachala mountain is directly visible from Seshadri Swamigal Ashram. Just outside Seshadri Swamigal Ashram, the arch which you see in the back, just outside there, there's a very small boy, a very short boy. I don't know whether he's small or young or whatever, but he's a very short boy. He stands and begs over there. But and there's also a tea shop nearby. So he asks for money. And a peculiar thing I saw with him is that when he's given money, when he's given food, he goes and gives it to the other beggars who are sitting there, or the other sadhus or swamis who are sitting there. And I found that he's always lost in a certain kind of trance, in a certain kind of a state which is beyond understanding. And I see him there very often. If I don't see him, I miss the sight of him being there. And perhaps that is how Seshadri Swamigal tends to remind us about his divine madness. Seshadri Swamigal traveled over a long distance. He was, he was very wild. And some people say that he would drive away people who come with the wrong intentions, who come with the wrong ideas to, gain his blessings. He would drive them away. And he would keep people closer who have that spiritual inclination. And that's why even till date you will see a lot of very serious, low key, not not show off, but low key, serious, intense spiritual practitioners in the Shadri Swamigal Ashram. You will see them sitting, meditating, and it's such a beautiful place to sit there and meditate and immerse into yourself. uh, it's it's really a place which has a lot of divinity around. There's a hall behind which many people miss. It's a meditation hall which has the murtis, the statues. Murti is the right word, because statues are just sculptures, whereas murtis are sculptures with the inner software, with the inner divinity alive through the process of pran pratishta. And you will see all these black murtis of different saints: Ramakrishna Paramhans, Yogi Ram Surat Kumar, Ramana Maharshi, so many of them. Anandmayi Ma, I think Anandmayi Ma is the only woman in that. Uh, it's like a sorry, it's like a three-sided rectangle, and you see all these murtis, which are very powerful. And each one of them has a very peculiar expression, as if they are speaking to you. And I really love that place. It's also very divine. Uh, there's so much of power in this place. There's so much of things. And sometimes in the evening, you will see people playing music in the near the main temple, near the Samadhi temple. Sometimes somebody will play guitar, somebody will play flute, and it's all very spontaneous. It's all very sweet. It's not a very rule-oriented place. It's not a place where there's big fanfare, and it's really very It feels very intimate in that sense. And when that music plays, you again enter into the bhakti, into the devotion that characterizes the place. Sri Sadhguru Sri Seshadri Swamigal Tiruvadikke. This is the mantra that some of the people chant over there, and it's a very free, and I find that space always very enchanting in its own way. You will find a lot of sadhus, swamis, serious practitioners visiting there, and there's not much of what do you say, schedule. There is a schedule, of course. They have morning aarti, evening aarti, and all of that. But there seems to be a certain kind of free flowing nature in this ashram, which is why it's very special to me. And you will see that once I had a good fortune of meeting someone called Swami Buddha Charan, and he is a good friend of mine now. Yeah, he's connected with me through Facebook. He was very close to Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, and I would see him often sitting at Seshadri Ashram and meditating. And we met in the canteen and the cafe, and that was very nice. I I remember meeting a lot of other people over there, also spending time with a lot of friends over there. It's a great place. The canteen or the cafe was closed due to the COVID restrictions. Lately, it was closed. I don't know if it has opened again. And yeah, Seshadri Swamigal is just right next to Ramana Ashram. It's just the next ashram, actually. And the area around is very sweet. There's a nice tea shop, there's a nice lassi shop. Opposite, you have the Oro restaurant and all of that. So it's a very sweet part of town. And what is magical is that Sadhguru Seshadri Swamigal's presence is very closely felt uh, in a very sweet way, in a very deep and intimate way. It's very difficult to describe these things, but since I made some points, I could quickly share with you some of the things. Uh, well, the prasad, the music, all of it feels very divine. It has a different touch. And whenever I'm puzzled as to where to go in Tiruvannamalai, because Tiruvannamalai has hundreds of ashrams and temples along the 15 kilometers pilgrimage track. Whenever I'm confused, I go to Seshadri Swamigal Ashram. It's probably the first place I go to in. It's just a personal preference. I'm not trying to compare places or rate them, but it's just that it's a personal preference. And it's a place without fanfare. So sometimes what happens is, like the first time when I went, I had no idea, that this is such a divine place. But I was still drawn. Actually, I lived in that same area when the first time when I went, and I was still drawn to this place. So when this magic happens, uh, I hope it happens for you in your life, and you can experience this very beautiful space. I remember meeting Raju, who is a tea seller, who was selling tea, but he's not a tea seller as such. He does many other things also, like real estate and so on. And he was at a tea shop near Arunachala temple. And he also told me that his guru had advised him to sit at least for an hour at the Seshadri Swamigal temple. And as I said, it's the place for the honest, sincere, and heartfelt devotees of any path. It doesn't matter which path you belong to. You can meditate there, you can chant there, you can sing there. That's the beauty. So, dear friends, I hope I shared with you some valuable information about Seshadri Swamigal Ashram. The story of Seshadri Swamigal, you can find it anywhere. Uh, I think after the pandemic, probably they'll also allow people to stay in the ashram. So you could connect with their website and call them and check if you can book. They have a very humble stay. I happened to meet a sadhu from Coimbatore who was staying there. I saw the room. It's very simple. It's very rustic. It's very nice. And it's a beautiful energy to stay there, or even around the ashram if you can stay. It's very beautiful and nice. So I highly recommend this place when you go to Tiruvannamalai. Definitely spend time at Seshadri Swamigal Ashram when you have no clue where to go. Cheers.